Okay, so I left off the last video with this table being open. I'm actually going to close the table now, and I can simply do that either by right-clicking here on the tab for the table and picking close, or I could close it over here as well. I could have left it open. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to say save changes. Yes. Okay. So when we created this teacher's table, if you remember, we created it in Datasheet View because it was the first table that we created in this database. But I said to you that there's really a better way to create a table, and that's what I'm going to teach you now. If you click on the Create Table, okay, the Create tab, you'll see here that you have the option of Table or Table Design. If you do Table, right, it's going to open up like it did before for us in Datasheet View. That's not what we want. Remember how we click to add each column, right? But if you do Create in Table Design, what that does is it opens up the table in Design View, lets you type in the field name and the data type right here. So for example, this is going to be the rooms table where we're going to assign rooms to particular teachers that we have created in our other table. So here the field name is going to be room number, and I'm going to hit tab, and I see for a data type here that it defaults with short text, but I could click on this drop down list if I wanted to change it. Short text is fine. Okay. You can always put a description in. If you're not sure you're going to remember what room number is for, you would just put a description in there. I think we'll be fine with knowing what room number is, so I'm not going to do that. And then I'm going to type here max students, and that's the maximum number of students. So I'm going to make that a number field. So I'm going to click on the drop down list and pick number. I also could have just typed in the number n, and that would actually have filled it in with number as well. Okay, so that's the max number of students that room can hold. Okay, the computer count, which is the current number of students, and this time I am just going to type the n for number so I don't have to click on the drop down list. And then I need to relate this table to our teachers table. And so if you recall, in the other table, our primary key field was our teacher ID field, okay? And it was an auto number data type. So in this table, we can't, actually, let me do that first. In this table, we need our own primary key field. So looking at these fields right now, which field do you think would be the primary key field? Which key needs to be, which one of these fields basically needs to be unique, right? So you're probably all thinking to yourself, well, room number, right? Can't have the same, you would never have the same room number in a building because kids would never know where to go. So this is our unique identifier for the records in this table, okay? So I'm clicked on the room number field name, and up here on the design tab, I just simply come over to primary key. And I want to point out something here, that for every field that you're on, you have these field properties down here. Okay, and I kind of mentioned these before, right? Because for room number, remember this is where we could put our caption in here, right? The room number, and I could make a field size if I wanted to. So if I said, you know, I want to change the field size to this to be 4 because we don't have a room number that's more than 4 long. Okay, for max students, I wouldn't have a field size because it is it's a number field, right? So I can set my caption here to be max students with a space. Okay, notice it doesn't change the field name here, right? Because that would only change, that caption is only for when we're in Datasheet View. Okay, so back up to our room number field here. I want to point out that one of the other properties associated with this field, and when you think about properties, I want you to think about any object in life has properties associated with it. If I put an apple out on a table, the properties associated with might be, it's a red apple, it's a shiny apple, right? It's things that describe that field. And that's basically what field properties do in this case, is they describe whatever field we're talking about. In this case, the field name is room number, right? So for our room number field, notice that down here in the indexed, it says it's not indexed. But watch when I click on room number and I make this a primary key field, okay? When I make it a primary key field, it says it's indexed, yes, and it also puts that no duplicates, meaning I would never be able to add the same room number twice because it would yell at me. It would say it's not allowed, can't happen, okay? So that's how we make that a primary key field, okay? So now, if I were to open up my teachers table really quickly, I'm just going to open up my teachers table. And I'm going to open it actually in Design View. Okay. Remember that I made the teacher ID field number here primary key field. Okay. And what I need to do is I need to make a relationship between these two tables so that I can assign a teacher to a room. Okay, so let's talk about this. So I'm a teacher and I teach at CCRI and I teach multiple classes. And so I actually have more than one room that I teach in. And each of those rooms has a different amount of students that are allowed. Now, um, in my teacher's table, right, I have the following information. I have last name, first name, hire date, grade taught, home phone, cell phone, email, salary. So in this case, so maybe it's an elementary school since it's grade top, but same, or high school, it doesn't matter. Same basic principle resides here that a teacher could be teaching in more than one room. So why wouldn't I put room number here in this table is the question. Well, what you don't want to have to do is you don't want to have to repeat the information that stays the same. So my last name, my first name, my hire date, my home phone, my cell phone, my email, none of that changes because I teach in multiple rooms, right? So what that forces us to do then is to create another table that keeps track of all of our rooms. And that's what we started to do over here in this table here, right? Where I set up a field room number, max students, computer count. But I need a way of tying what room I'm teaching, what room numbers I'm teaching in as a teacher, okay? So the way that we do that is by creating a field in this table that relates back to the teacher's table. And so one of the ways that you can think about this is it's almost like a parent-child relationship, right? So in this case, the teacher would be the parent and the room would be the child because one parent can have many children. So one teacher can have many rooms that they're assigned to. Okay, and you'll see that once you create this relationship, and this is just sort of the beginning stages of it where we set the fields up that we can allow us to create that relationship, that then a lot of the hard work will be done for us because once we select a teacher and we assign it a room, they'll automatically populate this teacher ID field because they'll know what that teacher ID number is. Sort of like if I'm a parent, right, and I have children, that my children are automatically assigned my last name when they're born because the relationship is already known. Okay, so it's a hard concept to get, but just hang in there. It'll make more sense as we go forward here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to type in teacher ID because that matches the exact field name I have here, right? So it's teacher ID. And my data type, I can't make my data type an auto number field because we learned that the auto number field is by default a primary key field. And we already have a primary key field for this table. Okay, but what I do need to do is make it a data type that fits the type of data it is, which is a number, right? Because that we know that the auto number is like a 1, a 2, a 3. So my data type needs to be number here. So that when it's assigned, that like if it's assigned number 1 for room number whatever, that is a number field. Okay, easier to explain if I had a board, but I might do another video that just tries to explain this further for anybody who feels they need more information on this. But basically, suffice to say that teacher ID is a primary key field in this table. In the rooms table, which I'm going to name this rooms in a second, room number is the primary key field, okay? And that this teacher ID field is a way to relate the two tables together because this is a relational database, right? And I don't want to have to, in the teacher's table, create a whole other record that has all the same information in just room as the different thing and have multiple records for one teacher. So by having this relationship between the two, I can have one teacher who teaches in multiple rooms and I just assign them the teacher ID so we know what teacher is assigned to that particular room. So hopefully that makes somewhat of sense, okay? I'm actually going to set the default value, it's already here as 0, which is sort of silly because it would never be 0, but that's fine. All right, so I'm going to save this, and I'm going to call this my rooms table. Okay, and I'm going to click OK. So now I see I have a rooms table and I have a teachers table. I can interchange between the two looking at them, right? And they hold different data. If I look at my rooms table in datasheet view, I see that I could come in and enter my room numbers, which I'll do, my number of students, computer count. Remember, again, if I wanted to best fit this, right, I could just click on the corner of it, go between any of them and double click. I think that's the quickest way to do a best fit. And that makes it so that I can see all of them. It doesn't change the field size, right? That's sort of an important thing to note. It doesn't change the field size. It just changes how much is displayed on the screen there. So I just want to make sure that you understand that. All right, so I'm going to stop the video here, and then in the next video, we're going to go in and actually create those relationships that I was referring to.